Hello, Melton Guy here with taking another look. Today I'm taking a look at the church. Not just church, but my church, your church, church as it, according to what it means to you as an individual, what it means to you today, what it meant to you years ago. I always enjoyed church when it was church. I always enjoyed the fellowship and all those kinds of things, and listening to sermons and Sunday school and all that when it was church. When I was in grad school, I took a class, and the name of the class was Futures. And it was all about futures of the church. About visions of what we thought the church would be 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, 50 years down the road, depending on how we see it. I wrote an essay in that class, and it was about my vision of the future church based on my present and past experiences and observations within the church, and present and past experiences and observations even in the secular area. That was my job for that essay. Using all those experiences and observations, I wrote an essay that concluded with a church that saw no personalities, no brands, no colors, no lifestyles, no politics, none of these, only congregations everywhere, considering only faith, hope, and love. Why and how? Because a man once said, "Love one another as I have loved you." His name is Jesus. But it was a pipe dream by a very naive young man with a misplaced belief in the love and common sense of the alleged people of faith. Am I being critical? I certainly am. I think it's time someone is. Church is not off limits when you see things going terribly wrong. And that's why I said I had a misplaced belief in the love and common sense of the alleged people of faith, people I knew and loved, churches I knew and loved. And it's not an angry statement I made today, it's a sad statement I'm making today. I want you to work with me a moment and think about this. What pew do you sit in church? What side of the altar do you kneel and pray? Do you look around as you sit in your pew and remember your Sunday school teachers of your youth? Do you remember those sweet ladies and kindly gentlemen who taught you in Sunday school and taught you Bible verses and taught you songs about Jesus and what Jesus is supposed to mean? Do you look around and remember that I was sitting in that pew the day that I decided that I needed to give my heart and life to Jesus? When you, as many like to refer to it, as being saved? Do you think about that? Do you look around and think about all the what we used to call dinners on the ground, where everybody was in fellowship, or dinners in the church after a meeting where everyone was kind of feeling good because they just heard a sermon about love. They felt some compassion because they were told about what Jesus really is, not what someone else is saying that Jesus is. I call that a time back when we had direction. I wonder how you feel about church 30, 40 years ago and church today. But now, take you out of that little game of remembering and trying to look forward. No prophecies, no predictions, just look forward. Because you know your mind, you know what's going on in this country, you know how it is affecting and how it has affected church. And I want you to think back, not think ahead, but I also want you to think back and make a comparison. When you went to the altar 35 years ago and you prayed, how are you going to go to that same altar after November? If you go and cast your vote, knowing the wrong that has been thrust upon us and has made the church what it is today, a weapon for a man who has no scruples, for a candidate who's already said what he's going to do, and it seems the church, and that's why I'm talking about the church today. It seems the church, an institution that I loved and look forward to going to every Sunday morning and midweek, and I've been to hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of all of those. The last few times that I went into a church, I walked out feeling worse than I could ever feel if I just stayed at home. And there are a lot of people doing that today. I can say for a fact, when I pull the lever on the day of election in November, I'll have no qualms about for whom I voted. And I know all the things. Nobody's perfect. But just forget for a moment. Forget all the controversial issues. Forget all the differences of opinions. Forget, if it's the case, forget skin color, forget lifestyles. And think about a man who once said, "Love one another as I have loved you." I don't think many of you will question one day how you really feel after you pull the lever for the wrong person, or don't pull a lever at all. I'm not asking you to vote one way or the other. I'm asking you to think about for whom you plan to vote. And how are you going to feel the day after? How are you going to feel a year from now, 2 years from now, as you place it over against what has happened, is happening, and going to happen to the church? Because we forgot, totally forgot. Someone said, "Love one another as I have loved you." And his name is Jesus. Thank you. Again, I want to plug Tennessee Brando. I think it's important to listen to him. He's an old country boy, but he knows his stuff, and he's got a heart as big as all outdoors. And listen to Owen Morgan. He's an atheist. He is an atheist. But like I said before, I've heard him mention Jesus a lot more than I have preachers and on the prosperity gospel or some of these preachers that come on YouTube, and he knows about Jesus. So I want to plug those two, and there are others, but those two I want you to listen to, because as I said before, I think you'll be glad you did, as I always am once I've listened to them. I also want to plug my book, which is now out on Amazon. It's been out for the last whole one day. So start looking at Amazon, it's there, and the name of it is The Offspring of Ignorance. The Offspring of Ignorance. And I'm going to ask you, if you will, one way or the other, give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down. And I want to ask you to subscribe. I dearly and really do love you all of you. And I hope you will love one another, because a man said that one time. Thank you.